Hello, entrepreneurs, dreamers, business owners, and happy people with high hopes. Welcome to Cashflows with your host, Cash Matthews.
All right. Thank you for being here today. I'm Cash Matthews. Our show today is called Cashflows, coming to you from Elevate Coworking here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we're glad you're here. Cashflows is a show designed to talk about the important things in life, whether it be business or life or personal. We like to talk about those things that make life better so that we can all live the good life. And the way we do that is we bring people onto this show that have had success in life, that have had experience in life, that are willing to share it, that you might benefit from it without having to wade through the jungle, the mystery that is the good life.
Yeah.
And people are looking for that. So in a minute, we're going to introduce Whitney DeNeen just in a moment. And I'm here today with my good friend, Kenneth Buckham. Kenneth,
Howdy.
welcome to another episode of Cashflows.
Why, thank you very much.
We were checking the email earlier, and there were some 70,000 requests asking this question of you. And I thought we would just jump right into the question about you. They're not interested in me one bit, but I keep getting the same question from people, and it is this. Hey, Kenneth, well, what's a guy like you doing in a nice place like this?
Well, I appreciate you asking. I hope my fan base doesn't cause you too many troubles there with all that email you have to handle now. But I'm actually on a scavenger hunt for smiles. Do you have one? All right, great. Well,
I'm just a happy little
see if we
guy.
can check that one off my list.
I am smiling all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're super glad you're here. So Cashflow's prominent idea is fire, aim, ready. And, we work with business people, and we work on business ideas, and we work on finance. And so many people get stranded in the decision-making process. Maybe they have a good idea, or they want to write a book, or they want to lose weight, or they want to make money, or create a relationship, but they never take the steps necessary. Their style is more of a ready, aim, 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 and they never actually pull the trigger. And so thank you. We have great sound effects. We'd like to be known as the podcast with
The best
the
sound effects.
best sound effects. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we'll work on that. But anyway, people want to move forward, and the key to moving forward is simply action. And we have a philosophy that action cures everything. Be an ace. Action cures everything. And so today we get to take action, and I'm going to take some action right now and introduce our guest today. Somebody I admire greatly, Whitney DeNeen. Whitney, welcome to our show.
Well, thank you for having me on the podcast.
Well, we're
This is
excited
right.
to have you here. Whitney is the founder and director of Essential Medical Research. Now, let's just get real right off the bat. That's that name, but this is going to be interesting. There's a lot going on in the medical world these days,
A lot.
and the things that you guys are doing with the testing and the research and the application of things that we need to bring to the market to make life better. That's pretty amazing.
Oh, we're so delighted to be a part of that right here in Tulsa.
Yeah, and then amazing. Just down the street from us, and you're down there doing these phenomenal things.
Yes.
And so before we get into who Whitney is, we're going to talk a little bit about the apparatus by which we were introduced, which is our group called the Business Owners Networking Group, the B.O.N.G. In the medical world, I think that probably means something a little different than it does in the nerd world. I can't speak for you, Kenneth, but I had never seen the B.O.N.G. thingy.
I love saying I belong to a group called the B.O.N.G.
I know, isn't it? Hey,
It's so cool.
Yeah, it's a grassroots organization.
Mhm.
Yes, okay, I like that. The B.O.N.G. is a hit. We offer the B.O.N.G. as a token of our appreciation, and we'd like you to come to the B.O.N.G. event. All good, right? Okay, sorry. This is where I ought to shut up. Tell us real quick, how you and I met, and through the B.O.N.G. and what your experience has been with this oddly named group.
So I was invited to the B.O.N.G. about a year ago,
Okay.
and it's just been an amazing group of individuals, entrepreneurs who welcome, make you feel very welcome in your journey as an entrepreneur. And so all of the events you guys are able to host are so incredibly rewarding for each one of us because we're all traveling the same journey.
Amen, we are. That's a great line. We're all traveling the same journey.
Yeah.
I
like it.
like to think that we're all sort of just arm in arm walking each other home. I don't have a better visual of what I'm doing in my life than that. But thank you for saying that. I
Mm.
appreciate that. Well, I've got some things I want to ask, but I want you to give us a 10,000-foot overview of what your company does and how people can reach you. That is www.emedr.com. I don't, so that's Essential Medical Research, emedr.com, if you want to reach out to Whitney. Whitney, tell us a little bit about what you guys do and how it all works. And then we're going to dig into some of the nitty gritty here with you right after that.
Okay. So any medication currently that's being prescribed by a physician has to go through an FDA clinical trial process. And that's essentially what we do right here in Tulsa. There's phase 1 through phase 4. And so phase 2, 3, and 4, what we specialize in.
Okay.
The trial application is such that it just configures it's the process to ensure that the medication is effective, that the side effects, look at the side effects, how each patient responds. So
S-
it's an incredible process that is available to patients.
I think that's phenomenal because we live in, I mean, this world is magical. You know,
Very, very
in the
magical.
30s, the average age of death was like 49 years old. And
Oh,
we've grown to live longer and longer and longer. And a baby born today will live to age 120, according to the IRS.
imagine.
And they know stuff.
Yeah, just imagine if we didn't have penicillin today, right? Penicillin went through the same process.
Right.
So,
And like look at the polio vaccine. They took them 39 years to really develop that and get it out to eradicate polio in our country. And they took their time and did the right kind of research.
mhm.
And I love to see that kind of time and research done. So who formulates these drugs you're testing? Like who could Kenneth and I come up with something and then bring it to you and go, hey, what do we have here? It's a Kool-Aid and licorice.
Well, the good news is we've got major pharmaceutical companies like Novo Nordisk, who's been in the industry for over 100 years. That's
Right,
who developed insulin, right?
right.
So we're working with them right here in Tulsa,
Wow.
Oklahoma.
So they may have an adaptation of a drug, and then you're going to do the efficacy testing.
Correct. Yeah. So we look at physicians. We work with local physicians who are board certified. They provide patients to us to go through the clinical trial process. And it's really an amazing opportunity for these patients because they're getting a high level of care not only through a board certified physician,
Right,
however, through a team of experts.
right.
Um,
And
it's not
so
a
you are one-to-one then with those patients.
1-to-1, and sometimes it's 2, 3, 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
So it's
So
not a typical 15-minute office visit.
so somebody that comes to you for a clinical trial is probably, I mean, they've got a board certified physician
Mhm.
and they're spending 2 to 4 hours with y'all?
Yeah, some
Yeah, for
cases.
y'all is a Oklahoma term out there for my
Right.
friends up in for Ewans up
Yep.
in Illinois.
That's right.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there,
No,
but I mean that's amazing to me that they're going to get that kind of hands-on care because you really
we
want to know. I mean, you have to know,
and we care, and our patients are heard. Our patients, if our patients are not feeling heard and they're not feeling appreciated, we're not doing our job.
right?
So, and all of this at no cost, no insurance.
Wow,
That's a bonus. A lot of patients, may not have access to the most effective treatments because of the resources that they just don't have.
right. And
Financial
by the time
resources.
they get to you, these drugs are level 2, 3, and 4.
Yes,
They're reasonably well known at that point. Before
absolutely.
they reach clinical trial, we kind of know what they do.
Yes, absolutely. So, phase 1, those are your healthy, normal. They're really seeing how the body responds. Phase 2, 3, and 4 on your clinical trials, those deal with greater patient populations. Phase 3 is generally the phase that we typically work in. So, you're looking at anywhere from a patient population of 1,000 to 3,000 patients across
Oh,
not only the US, but it may be the world
wow.
that we're working with, that they're really collecting information that will allow that new drug or treatment to be used safely.
Cool. Okay, so thank you for the overview.
Uh-huh.
And I just wanted to get out into the world what it is you do because I am amazed by it. I think it's even cooler that they're literally just a couple of blocks from here.
I'm just
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
passionate about it, so I hope
No, well, you should be. I mean,
I
I think you're maybe saving lives.
there's some wonderful, wonderful stories that have occurred over the course of my years working in clinical trial industry.
Maybe you can share some of those with us here in a little bit. I want
Absolutely.
to dig into the business side though, and who
Yes.
Whitney is, and how long have you been at this?
I've been in the industry itself about 20 years. So way
Wow,
back whenever I started, we did carbon copy papers,
nice.
if you can
Ooh,
imagine,
Yeah,
right?
and mimeographs. I don't know
Yeah.
if you probably don't
nice.
remember those. I'm a lot
I
older
mean,
than
we've
you.
been talking about fax machines here too.
Well, okay, yeah.
So
Oh,
I got my dictionary out and everything, so I'm able to look it up and know what you're talking
Can you
about.
fax me the directions to my 8-track player?
I can look on YouTube for instructions on how to do that for
Got
you.
it. I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, how do you build a business like this? I work with 5,500 entrepreneurs here in Tulsa through this Bond group.
uh,
You're our one that does medical testing. Like we have a few people that do photography and a few financial nerds. We have one that does essential medical testing, and it's
yeah.
you. So how do you get started with that?
Well, it's fun. And I think, any industry, whether you're building a clinical trial industry, whether you're building um, our favorite Chick-fil-A, right?
Right?
You want to start with a good business plan. You want to start with a organizational chart. And then you want to develop processes that align with processes that can be carried over and create time and time and time again consistency.
So there are guys like me right now out in the world that just heard you say organizational chart,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, "Huh?" And there are those of us that were just born with a certain type of ADD, and that when I hear you say that, I wish I had that in my life.
I can help you.
Yeah,
I
so
can.
I mean, what you do is amazing, and I'm impressed by you.
Well, and
But let's talk about business building though.
absolutely.
You have an idea.
Mhm.
You do all of the advanced things that you just mentioned.
Well, and
Eh,
initially, that organizational chart, you're it.
It's a, yeah. There's
You're
one
wearing,
circle on your
yeah,
page,
you're wearing every hat.
right?
So eventually you want to look at how eventually as the business grows, how can I develop these individual um, areas to other people?
Right. Number one, it just expands your business in a way that you're not everything.
Oh,
A lot
absolutely.
of Kenneth. A lot of people get good at one thing. They're good at photography or
Hmm.
financial things or painting or whatever, but then they don't have time to do HR and taxes and marketing, particularly. So you do all of these things. How do you start this business?
How do I start the
Did
business?
you
So
just
had a passion for it
Yeah,
because of working in the industry, saw the change in patients' lives. That's priceless. So as hard as I knew going into starting my own business, the multiple hats that it's going to take,
right.
I knew the changes in individual lives that we were going to be able to provide
Awesome.
that patients may not have otherwise.
Right.
But, also having people in the right chairs where they match what
Where they
their,
match the role.
yeah, their
Yeah.
talent. You want those talents to be matched with those individuals because an organization, you can't do it all yourself. I can't be good at everything.
Oh no,
No.
that's so true. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in what you're saying.
Yeah.
So let's take that then to the next level about because we're all entrepreneurs in the Business Owners Networking Group, and there are a lot of people listening to this podcast that maybe are on the verge of becoming an entrepreneur, and they're looking at you going, "Hey, if you can do it, I can do it." But how did you do it? Kind of price did you pay, both economically? What about this mythical thing that we all call work life balance? How do you weigh it all out?
How do you weigh it all out? Well, that is a balancing act. And I tell you, one of the things that going into starting a business, I found to be helpful and others might find as well, is I had a history of exercise. And so that kind of kept me in focus. My routine in the morning, 5 a.m., getting to a cycle class, set the tone for the day for me to be focused and energized for my team.
5 a.m.
5 a.m.
I've heard of it.
That's early-ish.
And I tell you, those Bixby police officers are not kind at 4:45 a.m. if you're speeding
Oh, okay.
Oh,
to
That's
get to
man.
your class.
another lesson that you
They are
learned.
alert at that time.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so you always had a history of exercise,
Mhm.
and so you had a routine,
So I had a routine, and I think whether it's a routine in exercise or whether it's routine throughout the day, that's so important.
right? I think everybody has a routine. It just may not be a good one,
True.
Mm.
Yeah, we got to kind of refocus sometimes our routine.
right? So how then do you? Because I mean that's a heavy routine, getting up at 5 a.m. and going to spin class or whatever it is, and so how do you? I mean, how do you incorporate that into your personal life? Because we've got these business lives and that we're all excited about, but it's how do you balance? Like, I've struggled with it. Like, it's been one of the great struggles of my 40-year career. Um, I've been married to Katie 32 years, so those first 8 were pretty easy because I wasn't really reporting to anybody. But once you kind of get things going, I struggled with it. I still struggle with it because I think you love what you do.
I love what I do. I do because of the patients. I love that um, the rewards that they're able to get. And
Yeah,
so that balance is important. And I think having a community, your friend community, the support community,
right,
again, you can't do it all yourself.
right.
It's lonely at the top sometimes, right?
Well,
And
I am not aware of that, but it's pretty lonely in the middle.
it can be when you're in the seat trying to make multiple decisions a day, it can be kind of lonely. And so having those friends outside of work that can bring life to you
Right.
I have found very, very helpful in this journey.
I agree completely. Katie and I moved here 3 years ago, and that first year was very dark. We didn't know we moved here not knowing anybody,
It's hard.
and then we started making a friend group. Through this networking group that we started, and those are the people we do life with.
And 5,000 friends later,
Yeah,
Cash,
I mean
you've got,
it's unbelievable. Like
yeah,
it's a lot of birthday cards.
it's,
But it's I don't know. I think the spice of life for me, I can only speak for me, is having a few people that will hang out with you.
yeah,
I,
your
it,
inner circle.
yeah, and that doesn't sound like much, and I think most people are thinking, oh, I need a yacht and a plane, and you know, and if that's some of the stuff you want, yacht to do it.
Huh,
Uh,
there it is.
but just having people to do it with,
Well, and one of the most enjoyable times I've spent with you, it was very simple, a Mexican restaurant. There were
right,
a couple of us around, very casual,
right.
very, very well needed. So,
Those are the things that I need in my life,
yeah,
and it's not a new this or a new that.
no,
I just don't. I've just never had a value. Once you have like a cool car, once you have any car in any house, I don't know. You're kind of good. But the quality of your life, not the economics of your life, but the quality of your life is about the people.
yeah, amen.
And
And sometimes less is more, and whenever it comes to material items, because those can just cause you trouble, right? If
yeah,
the
for sure. Yeah, I was having a busy day 2 weeks ago, and it was literally more than I could handle. And that doesn't happen very often because I don't try to handle more than I can handle. I know how much I can handle. And
Mhm.
I just had one of those days, Kenneth. And I
Mm.
was talking to one of my friends from the Bond group, and she had just called. How was your day? And it was so well timed. I was about 15 minutes from home, and I'm like, oh, it was pretty good. That kind of answer that we give. That's good. It's fine.
That's
And
okay.
if I
Yeah.
was any better, I'd be twins. That kind of crazy stuff. And so we talked for a few minutes and hung up and agreed to talk the next day and maybe get together for lunch. About 10 minutes later, my phone rings. She's like, I don't think so. Something's wrong. Just tell me what's going on. Like, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
You didn't sound right. You didn't sound normal. What's going on with you? Like, oh, busted.
She called Oklahoma on you.
Oh, she did, man. She like busted me. And I'm like, well, I'm having a crappy day and here's why. And I was so thankful. And so the next morning we met up early for coffee. We didn't talk about business and we didn't talk about completion and perfection. We just hung out.
And that's what we need.
And
Mhm.
I don't know, man. I want more of that, not less of that.
I want more too.
And sometimes
Yes.
our identity becomes our work. And I've been there. but I found out, I was who's who in business, but I was who's he at home. And I didn't. So we kind of, and that's sort of why we're all sitting here today, is because I really took that seriously. And I love that you're focused and that you recognize the power of community.
Power of community is what makes the community us.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're in this unique little group called the Bong that's actually, I think, I think we've built a little town.
I think we
Does
have.
and I'm the dog catcher.
You're not the dog catcher.
No, and that is
No,
my
no.
preferred position, to like play with the dogs. I went to a birthday party last night. They had a dog. I walk in, I'm like, oh great, they've got a dog, and I went and played with the dog. So I'm the dog catcher, and I'm okay with that. But everybody kind of rises to their level, and looking at what you've done with your company is amazing. But still, I don't know what is a clinical trial. So I need you to like coach me like I'm a third grader.
So a clinical trial, again, it's a process that takes place with any medication that a physician prescribes. And so from point A, we get a patient who's interested. We do a pre-screen on the phone. And if it's determined that they fit the inclusion-exclusion, we bring them in for what's called a screening appointment. And during that screening appointment, it's very thorough. Sometimes they can last up to 2 to 3 hours. Sometimes they may just be an hour, depending on the trial. We take a thorough medical history, some labs, maybe an EKG.
Oh,
Doctor
wow.
sees them, does their disease-specific assessments.
All of this at no cost to them?
All at no cost, no insurance.
Okay. This
And
is a big deal.
it's a huge deal. And the best part, one of the best parts is, sometimes you have to wait 3-4 months to get into a specialized physician,
Right.
dermatologist, rheumatologist. We can get you in generally the next week. We've got such
Wow.
great physicians here that are dedicated to the process. So another benefit.
So why would somebody I get why they would want to. How does somebody go, I'd like to go do a clinical trial? They have to be referred by a physician.
Not necessarily.
Oh,
They don't
okay.
have to be.
Tell me more about that.
Not necessarily. So if they see one of our, maybe on social media, advertisements, they can certainly click on it. They can go to our website and see
Okay.
what individual trials we currently have enrolling. Generally, patients who have maybe failed all their treatment options. This is the newest treatment that's available.
Okay.
It's not available to the general public. However, it's going to be available, hopefully, to the general public within
Right.
time after it goes through this process.
Wow. So they can find you guys, sign up for a clinical trial, and a physician doesn't have to refer them?
Physician does not have to refer them. Sometimes physicians, we do get physician referrals, and that's nice because they know their patients best.
Right.
But if they choose to, they can go to our website and see what clinical trials that we're currently enrolling, sign up. And if it's not one that we currently have, it's not, it may be, 6 months from now that we'll have one.
Right. So this is like a godsend for people.
Oh, it's heavenly. In fact, I've got such great, can I share just two, maybe?
Yeah.
Two
Let's
rewarding stories.
hear a couple of stories about what's gone on in your world. I want to hear this.
Yeah, it's so exciting to be on the other, just to see these patients. But one of my most incredible stories, I think, was we had a young teenager. She was bullied to the point of having to exit the public school setting. And as a result, the constant bullying, she had some mental breakdowns. Well, because of her disease state, she came to see us. And after a couple of months of serving on a clinical trial, her disease state was such manageable that the following year she was able to enter back into the public school setting, increase self-esteem, increase social awareness. It just was such an absolute blessing to see this child go from a state of being so bullied to being pulled out and homeschooled to a state of high self-esteem because of her disease condition was more well managed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of a big deal.
It's a wonderful process.
All right, give me one more. That was a
Yeah.
great one.
Okay. We had a uninsured rancher who presented with a GI issue we were doing clinical trials on for Crohn's, and she was not able to maintain her livelihood, which was her livestock, maintaining her livestock on a daily basis. Came to us within probably about 2 months. her disease state was so well managed, she was able to carry on her livelihood, which is taking care of her livestock. And even today, 3 years later, she's still on the clinical trial and doing really well.
Hmm.
It's a very exciting and
Wow.
it makes it all worthwhile.
I don't know. It's my favorite podcast right here. This is
Yeah.
something so relevant out in the world. We're all worried about
It's,
health. And I mean, actually, I became a health advocate. I heard, I got some good advice from Brooke Shields. You remember her?
No, I don't.
Really?
No, I don't.
Man, you are not a 60-year-old male.
That's also correct.
Anyway, she was a
I
famous.
remember Brooke
Oh, well,
Shields.
well,
She's
she said,
beautiful.
I attribute these words to her, but one time she said that if you die, you've lost a very important part of your life.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's actually correct, but I think the sentiment is correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And we all have a high probability of dying too. We've
I
talked
mean,
about
the
that
death rate's
before.
right at 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, let's just call it what it is, but we can push that out a little bit.
Right.
So, well, congratulations on that. Talk about the people who are doing the trials. They're not paying for anything. Are there people who get paid to do trials?
Yes, not only are they not having to pay, it's no cost, no insurance, but they get reimbursed for each visit. It's called a patient stipend. And we do have patients too who do not have transportation. Maybe they live an hour away. We're able to set them up with free transportation to and from the clinic for their visits.
Does it lend itself to one particular age that you're seeing?
Not necessarily. We've done trials from pediatric, which we do have a current pediatrician on as an investigator, and it can go all the way up to a 75, 80-year-old,
Wow.
depending on the clinical trial.
So people who refer to you, we've begun to see like these HMO type organizations. They're not really that, but they're like we saw an organization on this show that's deals with people just 60 and older,
Mhm.
and they pay a monthly fee, and they've got a lot of services for a little bit of money.
Mhm.
And I was very, very impressed by that. And it seems like there are people really trying to solve these medical issues.
Yeah,
It,
the medical community is it's extremely evolving
right. So
right now.
does the government play a role? I mean, does the government mandated health insurance, does any of that play a role? Can you have that health insurance and still come and see you for a trial?
Absolutely. In fact, some of the medications that we're currently on clinical trials, maybe they're not covered by insurance. They can already be FDA approved for one disease state, but we're looking at it for another individual disease state.
Right.
And so it's not being covered through insurance. And some of these injections can be anywhere from, $1,200 to $1,800. That may be
Hmm.
even after insurance.
Wow.
So a clinical trial option is definitely something to explore. It's not for everybody, and it may not be that the patients qualify, but it's at least worth exploring.
I was watching or reading rather, there's a drug out in the world called Ozempic, and it hasn't been on the market long as far as I know. Are you allowed to say that? She's pointing at me with hand signals, but we are in video. So just, yeah, don't watch the YouTube on this one.
No,
But
it's all good.
I've talked to people who've
It's
used
life-changing.
it is life-changing for
It's
people.
life-changing,
There are
and
people in our own group in the Bong who've used it and
yes,
revolutionized their life. They can see their feet again,
yes.
and they can run up the stairs with their kids and go outside. I mean, it has been amazing for some people.
Yeah, and the great news is we currently have a trial with Eli Lilly that's very similar to that medication.
Right.
And so it's for diabetes and weight loss. And so I think we're going to see a lot more in the market with that.
It's kind of cool how that accidentally went together. I think it started as a diabetic drug,
Mhm.
or yeah, but then it had this weight loss effect, and apparently now all the movie stars are taking Ozempic. They're having Ozempic parties and
All the
stuff.
movie stars and podcast stars and
Oh
everyone.
yeah, we're totally on it. Yeah, we
Totally.
So yeah, if you have if diabetes and weight loss, we've got a trial for that currently enrolling.
That is awesome. Very cool. Well, so let's be a business owner again for a second.
Uh-huh.
Is being a business owner is awesome and awful.
It better be more awesome than awful.
Well,
though.
it is, but there are just moments that are mystifying. And I think there's so much that goes into owning a business. Do you have unique challenges in what you do?
Oh, every industry has unique challenges,
Yeah, tell
yes.
tell us about some of yours and how you deal with those.
uh, one of the challenges is one of the challenges, I guess, would be getting the patients. We really have a challenge at getting patients aware of clinical trial opportunities. In addition to
Okay.
the patients, we're also educating physicians because a lot of physicians, when we go ask them about, would you like to serve as an investigator? Their first statement is, I don't want to write a paper. And we're like, no, we're not going to have you write a paper. It's actually what they're doing currently in clinic, seeing patients, doing
Hmm.
assessments, looking over lab work. So I would say that's one of our biggest challenges is really getting clear information out there to the general population about what are clinical trials and how they can play a role in them.
As a normal layperson that I am, I have no idea about them. Like I've heard of people going in and staying for a week, and in my brain they're getting like
That's
monkey brains put in them or something. But it's different than that.
It's very different than that,
Sorry
yes.
for that.
But
I
that's generally a phase one, and we generally do just phase
Your
two
phase
and
two, three,
four.
and 2 and 4.
Two, three, and
Oh, two,
four.
3, and 4. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that. I don't know. It's just interesting to hear that it's paid for and they get a stipend and
Transportation if we need it.
transportation. Like you guys are doing something
It's the
amazing.
Cadillac service of healthcare.
Is the difficulty in getting patients just awareness?
It's awareness.
So the role you need to fill then, I mean, we is maybe marketing what you do to more people.
Absolutely. And, any one of our, we call them clinical research coordinators.
Mhm.
We would love to educate anyone who's interested in hearing more about a clinical trial to give us a call.
Now, is that live education in person? Do you how does somebody come in and learn it? They go do a Zoom call with you or how?
We have a Calendly where they can sign up on our website
Oh, okay.
for just a one-on-one personal phone call with a clinical research coordinator who can explain kind of the process that takes to be involved in a clinical process,
But
in a clinical
they can
trial.
find all those trials though on your website. Let me
Yes.
give that a
Yeah.
shout out real quick. www.emedr.com. www.emedr.com to go see what's going on in the clinical trial world. We're going to take a moment right here to take a break and say thank you to some of our sponsors.
All right. So let's see here. We get the old music going and then we talk about these sponsors here. Today, the sponsor that we will talk about is Kenneth Bauckham Photography. I'm here to help bring your awesome ideas to life. I specialize in helping businesses explode their online presence through professional photography, video, and virtual event production with a rapid turnaround. It's commercial photo and video services with a personal touch.
Kenneth, very good.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Kenneth Bauckham Photography, Video, and Podcast Guru.
Podcast guru.
Yeah, I think if any of our listeners want to know more about how to do a podcast, and we've got this wonderful studio,
It's wonderful.
like literally,
It's
we can
nice.
come in here all day, every day, and sit around and we eat lunch in here, and
All we got to do is get it scheduled.
all we got to do is put it on the calendar in case some other Yahoo has the thing scheduled. But yeah, I kind of thank you for what all you're doing and breathing life into this crazy project.
For sure. Happy to be a help.
We're
Thank
glad
you.
you're here. So once we're coming back here, we're talking to Whitney DeNeen. She is Essential Medical Research, emedr.com, if you want to learn a little bit more about clinical research trials. Once a patient has been accepted into the trial, how long do they normally last?
It can vary. Some of our trials are 6 weeks. Some of them may be 5 years.
Hmm.
So it really varies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't expect that answer, but so for a 5-year period, you'll evaluate.
Oh, we become very close with our patients. Yeah, they're like family.
And so for that 5 years, though, they've had free medical care.
Free medical
I'm
care.
really, this is interesting. This is
Yeah.
not a thing that the world knows about.
So the time differences are probably based on, what specific drug and what specific type of thing they're testing for.
Yes.
But yeah,
And the phase, if it's a phase 2
Sure.
or 3. There are some trials, like I said, are 6 weeks. Some maybe 5 years. Our patients are like family to us.
yeah.
We not only get to know them, we get to know their families throughout the process.
And a lot of these people are at the end of treatment with the traditional way. This may be with a new prescription that's available.
It may be, or it may just be maybe they don't have resources to cover their current treatments.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get the word out here. Kenneth,
Yeah.
what do we do here? I think we got to get some signboards and go walking around.
More T-shirts.
More T-shirts. There we go. Okay, we'll get somebody to do that. Well, I loved your success stories.
Well, thank you.
And I mean, it is, I'm glad we had this time together to talk about what you do. I know it's a short amount of time. It's 35 or so minutes, but a lot can happen in, just in 35 or 40 minutes. We want to make sure that the world gets to know you. And, this is a great way to do it. Anything else that you would like to share about business building? Because we're going to ask you for a nugget here in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
And you already gave us part of it, but we want you to repeat it because most people have ADD like I do. They're not going to remember it anyway.
I would say go into the industry, whatever industry you choose, with a passion.
Yeah.
And a vision, an end in mind of what you truly want it to look like and how you want to help people.
Yeah.
Were you what's your training for this?
Originally, I went to school for radiology.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had a physician approach me one time who asked me to be his research coordinator. It was in rheumatology.
Right.
Fell in love with it, fell in love with the patients, and I've done it off and on. I went into teaching at the college level for a little while.
Oh,
And
okay.
so,
Wow, so you're deep into this then. Your history is prime for this.
yeah.
I had to have a procedure yesterday where they put me to sleep. And I was like, the anesthesiologist was kind of a cool guy. And we were just chatting a couple minutes before, and he goes, "Oh yeah, no, it's free to put you to sleep. It's $20,000 to wake you up." And I was like, "What a great business!"
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think he was just joking.
That's what we hope for.
Yeah.
We'll wait to get that bill.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Well, I mean, I think it's one we would all gladly pay.
between 30 to 90 days, you'll get that bill.
I have put so many people to sleep, but through different means. Want to hear my life story, Whitney? No, I don't want to do that to you. Well, we are going to wrap up here. Was that your nugget that you just gave it about being passionate about what you do?
Absolutely. Being passionate and just making sure that your passion reflects in what you do.
I
There's
think
going to be hard days.
I think there are a lot of people that miss that, and there are all kinds of entrepreneurs, and they find entrepreneurship either like I've always known I was going to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what, but when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and it just showed up, and there it was, age 20. A guy presented a business. I was ready, and I was not passionate about the business to start with. I was passionate about freedom, and I would have done about anything to create a level of freedom that was legal, moral, ethical, and made me feel good about myself. But the longer I did it, 2-3 years in, I was like, it's kind of an awesome business. I love this. And I had a chance to retire. I'm 62 years old. I still love it. Every day that I get to come to work, I'm like, how cool is this? And some of that's, podcasting and talking about this, but, working in the financial biz, I fell in love with it.
So
And
it's not work.
it has
It's not work to you.
Those first 2 or 3 years, I was not very good anyway. And so it might have seemed like work, but no, really 42 years in a row, it's never seemed like work. And I still enjoy it. And I think you're lucky that you're able to do that. And we congratulate you on a life of contribution, not just success, not just money, but like this is making a difference in our community.
Well, and as a reminder, I mean, I couldn't do this alone. It's not, there's so many people involved, and I've got an amazing team of professionals that I'm very blessed to have that.
But you started the business.
I've contributed a lot.
Yeah.
To start it.
Well, okay. I think that's a kind way to say it. All right. Well, Kenneth, you ready to wrap us up and take us out of here?
Sure.
All right. Well, we're thankful that everybody's here today. Whitney, thank you for
Thank you.
being what an enlightening kind of thing to have happen. That
Mm-hmm.
maybe I knew a little, but I feel like you gave me more than just crust here, man. This was solid pie.
Yeah.
I loved it. It's good to know something that you don't know. In my world, that's a lot of things.
But what kind of pie was it? Like pumpkin, apple?
I don't know.
Pumpkin.
I mean, I feel like if we're going to ask people what they want on their hot dogs, we need to know what they like in their pie too.
Okay. Well, I am a pecan pie.
Okay.
Do you eat the middle out? Do you start in the middle and then
Have
work
you
your
seen
way
those
out?
pictures of me doing that? Yeah.
No.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, I don't want you to see that.
I'm just saying that's
Never
what I
mind.
do.
Anytime Katie makes a pie, I cut a triangle out right of the middle.
Oh, so it's you've claimed the pie. Yay.
Like she's gonna punch me in the head with a frying pan or something. I just think it's funny, but I like it to be cooked with Hershey syrup on it
Oh yeah.
and then whipped cream on top of the ice cream.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's like if you're gonna go down in flames, like that's the way to go. And
That's the way to
then
do
you
it.
can just get in on a diabetic clinical trial.
There you go.
Okay, let's repeat. Our today we're here with Whitney DeNeen, and we have had a great day. Find her information www.emedr.com. And thank you all for stopping by for a little bit. We hope today was valuable to you. If you know somebody that might benefit from what Whitney does at Essential Medical Research, please reach out, share this link, share this podcast with your friends. We all need one another. I think that's our message. We're all kind of just locked arm in arm, walking home. Be nice to each other today. Go forgive one person that absolutely doesn't deserve it because you are forgiven. Y'all have a great day out there. Kenneth, what another great show we've done.
Yep.
And to our 3 listeners in Tecumseh, Oklahoma, who keep our boards lit up, and to the 3 of you that continually post and say likes on my page, hey, I'm going to Brahms. Y'all want to go? Have a good day.
That's our show for today. Stay tuned for another riveting edition of Cashflows.